Thanks, John. Consideration of gaming facility licenses. Given the level of interest in the casino licensing process, I think it is appropriate to start this portion of our agenda with a plain language overview on what the law requires regarding the commercial casino licensing process, and more importantly, what the law does not allow. Ed, could we ask you to please provide us with a plain language overview?
I will. I'd like to take a moment to describe for you and for the public what your statutory duties are in regard to licensing gaming facilities pursuant to Article 13 of the Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law. It would also be useful, I think, to clarify what is not your role or responsibility in regard to these licensing decisions. Misperceptions abound among some casino opponents, some public officials, and some in the media in regard to what your role is today in considering these decisions. The legislature established a two-layered process for the consideration of potential casino gaming facilities in New York State. You appointed a gaming facility location board in 2014, as the law required you to do. The Gaming Facility Location Board, in a competitive process, received 17 applications in 2014 in 3 statutorily defined upstate regions for casino gaming facilities. Those regions were the Catskill-Hudson Valley region, the Capital region, and the Eastern Southern Tier region. The Gaming Facility Location Board deemed 16 of those applications responsive and applied statutory evaluation criteria to select 3 applicants for your consideration for licensure. It is important to note that your role is not to reevaluate all of the applications, compare applicants, or to consider or reconsider the selection criteria the Gaming Facility Location Board considered and applied. Your role is not to substitute your judgment for that of the Gaming Facility Location Board. Your role is not to decide whether you think the Gaming Facility Location Board made the correct selections. Your role is not to exercise any review of the selection decisions the Gaming Facility Location Board made. You may or may not have different views of which applicants the Gaming Facility Location Board should have selected. That is of no matter, because the law did not give to this commission the authority to select applicants for gaming facility licensure consideration. The law gave the Gaming Facility Location Board the sole power and authority to make those selections. You are not an appellate body exercising review of the Gaming Facility Location Board's processes or decision-making. Rather, your charge is to consider only the applicants that the Gaming Facility Location Board selected and presented to you. With respect to each of those applicants, the legislature has charged you with determining whether each applicant is qualified for licensure, is not disqualified for licensure, and has met statutory minimum qualifications for licensure. If you conclude that those criteria are present for an applicant, you have the power to grant a gaming facility license to such applicant. I would like to review now with you those statutory criteria. Before issuing a gaming facility license to an applicant, the Commission must determine that the applicant is suitable for licensure and not disqualified, as set forth in sections 1317 and 1318 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law. These sections require the Commission to consider an applicant's overall reputation, which includes, without limitation, integrity, honesty, good character, and reputation, financial stability, integrity, and background, business practices and business ability to establish and maintain a successful gaming facility, compliance with gaming licensing requirements in other jurisdictions, involvement in litigation regarding business practices, suitability of affiliates, close associates, and financial resources, and disqualifying criteria. The law hinges suitability on and directs the Commission to review whether an applicant or any individual associated with an applicant was convicted of a felony or other crime involving public integrity, embezzlement, theft, fraud, or perjury, committed prior acts that form a pattern of misconduct, has affiliates or close affiliates that would not qualify for a license, or whose relationship with the applicant poses injurious threat to the interest of the state, has pursued economic gain in an occupational manner that is in violation of criminal or civil public policy, is identified as a career offender or member of a career offender cartel, has flagrantly defied any legislative or other investigatory body engaged in the investigation of crimes related to gaming, official corruption, or organized crime activity, or has failed to make required child support payments, repay public assistance benefit overpayments, or repay any other debt owed to the state. Once the Commission determines that an applicant is suitable and not disqualified, the Commission must then review the applicant's entire application and evaluate whether the applicant meets the minimum license thresholds set forth in Section 1316 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law. This statute requires that no applicant shall be eligible to receive a gaming license unless the applicant meets the following criteria and clearly states as part of an application that the applicant shall, 1, in accordance with the design plans submitted with the licensee's application to the board, invest not less than the required capital under Article 13 into the gaming facility. 2, the applicant shall own or acquire within 60 days after a license has been awarded the land where the gaming facility is proposed to be constructed, provided, however, that ownership of the land shall include a tenancy for a term of years under a lease that extends not less than 60 years beyond the term of the gaming license issued under Article 13. The applicant shall, 3, meet the license deposit requirement. The applicant shall, 4, demonstrate that it is able to pay and shall commit to paying the gaming licensing fee. The applicant shall, 5, demonstrate to the Commission how the applicant proposes to address problem gambling concerns, workforce development and community development, and host and nearby municipality impact and mitigation issues. The applicant shall, 6, identify the infrastructure costs to the host municipality incurred in direct relation to the construction and operation of a gaming facility and commit to a community mitigation plan for the host municipality. The applicant shall, 7, identify the service costs of the host municipality incurred for emergency services in direct relation to the operation of a gaming facility and commit to a community mitigation plan for the host municipality. The applicant shall, 8, pay to the Commission an application fee of $1 million to defray the costs associated with the processing of the application and investigation of the applicant, provided, however, that if the costs of the investigation exceed the initial application fee, the applicant shall pay the additional amount to the Commission within 30 days after notification of insufficient fees, or the application shall be rejected, and further provided that should the cost of such investigation not exceed the fee remitted, any unexpended portion shall be returned to the applicant. The applicant shall, 9, comply with state building and fire prevention codes, and the applicant, 10, shall formulate for board approval and abide by an affirmative action program of equal opportunity, whereby the applicant establishes specific goals for the utilization of minorities, women, and veterans on construction jobs. Additionally, the Commission cannot award a license to an applicant until the Commission, as an involved agency, has complied with the State Environmental Quality Review Act. SECRA requires that the Commission adopt the lead agency's findings or make its own findings with respect to an applicant's environmental impact statement, if one has been issued. If the lead agency has issued a negative declaration, there are no findings the Commission is required to make in regard to SECRA.
Thanks, Ed. Mr. Williams, will you please call the first application for consideration?
Certainly. The first application for consideration is Capital Region Gaming, LLC, doing business as Rivers Casino and Resort at Mohawk Harbor. Each commissioner has been provided with a copy of Capital Region's response to the Gaming Facility Location Board's request for applications to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State, a matrix of proposed changes or amendments to their submission post-February 27, 2015, a summary of the New York State Police investigative report regarding the applicant, its affiliated companies and principal management personnel, and 2 supplemental memoranda, a memorandum identifying minimum licensing threshold requirements, a license form with conditions specific to the applicant and their proposal, and an involved agency State Environmental Quality Review Act statement of findings for gaming facility license applicant, Capital Region Gaming, LLC.
Commissioners, may I have a motion to find Capital Region Gaming, LLC doing business as Rivers Casino and Resort at Mohawk Harbor suitable for gaming facility licensing per standards contained within sections 1317 and 1318 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law?
I so move.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Commissioners, may I have a motion to find the application as amended, submitted by Capital Region Gaming LLC doing business as Rivers Casino and Resort at Mohawk Harbor as meeting the minimum licensing threshold set forth in Section 1316 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law?
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the lead agency's SECRA findings statement certifying that the requirements of Title VI, New York Code Rules and Regulations, Part 617, have been met and consistent with social, economic, and other essential considerations from among the reasonable alternatives available. The action is one that avoids or minimizes adverse environmental impacts to the maximum extent practicable. May I have such a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Commissioners, may I have a motion to execute the gaming facility license award for Capital Region Gaming LLC doing business as Rivers Casino and Resort at Mohawk Harbor pursuant to Section 1311 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law?
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Williams, the next applicant.
The second application for consideration is Lago Resort and Casino LLC doing business as Lago Resort and Casino. Each commissioner has been provided a copy of Lago Resort and Casino LLC's response to the Gaming Facility Location Board's request for applications to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State, a matrix of proposed changes or amendments to their submission post February 27, 2015, a summary of the New York State Police investigative report regarding the applicant, its affiliated companies and principal management personnel, and 2 supplemental memoranda, a memorandum identifying minimum licensing threshold requirements, and a license form with conditions specific to the applicant and their proposal. No lead agency SECRA findings statement was circulated because the lead agency issued a negative declaration. A negative declaration is a determination by the lead agency that an action will not result in significant and adverse environmental impact, and consequently, no environmental impact statement was prepared.
Commissioners, may I have a motion to find Lago Resort and Casino LLC doing business as Lago Resort and Casino suitable for gaming facility licensing per standards contained in sections 1317 and 1318 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a motion to find the application as amended, submitted by Lago Resort and Casino LLC doing business as Lago Resort and Casino, meets the minimum licensing threshold set forth in Section 1316 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law? May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a motion to execute the gaming facility license award for Lago Resort and Casino LLC, doing business as Lago Resort and Casino pursuant to Section 1311?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Rob, would you mind calling the next applicant?
Certainly. The final application for consideration is Montrain Operating Company LLC, doing business as Montrain Resort Casino. Each commissioner has been provided with a copy of Montrain Operating Company LLC's response to the Gaming Facility Location Board's request for applications to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State, a matrix of proposed changes or amendments to their submission post February 27, 2015, a summary of the New York State Police investigative report regarding the applicant, its affiliated companies and principal management personnel, and 2 supplemental memoranda, a memorandum identifying minimum license threshold requirements, a license form with conditions specific to the applicant and their proposal, and an involved agency's State Environmental Quality Review Act Statement of Findings for Gaming Facility License Applicant Montrain Operating Company LLC.
Commissioners, may I have a motion to find Montrain Operating Company LLC, doing business as Montrain Resort Casino, suitable for gaming facility licensing per standards contained in sections 1317 and 1318 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. May I have a motion to find the application as amended submitted by Montrain Operating Company LLC, doing business as Montrain Resort Casino, meets the minimum licensing threshold set forth in Section 1316 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law? May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the lead agency's SECRA findings statement certifying that the requirements of Title VI of the New York Codes, Rules, and Regulations, Part 617, have been met and consistent with social, economic, and other essential considerations. From among the reasonable alternatives available, the action is one that avoids or minimizes adverse environmental impacts to the maximum extent practicable. May I have such a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Commissioners, may I have a motion to execute the gaming facility license award for Montrain Operating Company LLC, doing business as Montrain Resort Casino, pursuant to Section 1311?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is old business. I note there are 2 items. Mr. Williams, would you present the first item?
Certainly. Last month, the staff issued a report in regard to allegations advanced by the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals in regard to the practices of KDE Equine LLC et al. At the conclusion of the meeting, staff requested that the rule drafts contained within the report be released to receive public comment in advance of rulemaking consideration. While we have received some comments anecdotally, staff requests an additional month to specifically contact those entities that are likely to be affected or have concerns with the various proposals. I would suggest that any substantive comments regarding the report or proposals be withheld until the conclusion of next month's meeting, or at next month's meeting.
I think it's fine, unless the commissioners feel otherwise, to defer discussion.
no.
You were going to have Dr. Palmer here.
Yeah,
also, right?
Dr. Palmer will be here at the January meeting.
So we can ask him some questions, and maybe he can give us some answers.
Thank you.
Rob, the next item?
Also last month, commissioners requested staff conduct research into the use of the whip or crop in jurisdictions across the United States. I want to thank the National Jockeys Guild for providing information relative to crop use and identifying how different jurisdictions are now considering its use. I'm also aware that Ed staff has been undertaking research in this and expects to soon be circulating a memorandum relative to this research, but the research is not yet complete.
You did circulate something, though, didn't you?
I might have circulated the materials that the Jockey Club provided,
Yeah,
or
we
I mean,
saw-
the
yeah,
Jockey
we got
Guild
some
provided.
preliminary information.
okay.
So when do you think, in a month or so?
Oh, yeah, within, before the next meeting, for sure.
Great.
Commissioners, is there any other old business to consider? We have no items scheduled under new business. Does anyone have any other new business to consider? Hearing none, I think Kristen is going to work on scheduling.
26th.
January
I think
26th.
We're
we
looking at the
talked about
26th.
26th. Everybody is good. You're good for the 26th? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tuesday?
That concludes today's published agenda. Do any commissioners have items they'd like to present for consideration? Mr. Crotty?
Pardon me, sir?
Mr. Crotty, do you have other items you'd like to present?
I would like everyone to have a happy and safe holiday.
Indeed,
Very nice.
indeed.
So
We
glad
are
we got together
adjourned.
right
Happy
before.
holidays, everyone.
Nice job.
Lisa's here. Can we have a couple of minutes there when everybody leaves?
Can we? Yeah, that would be great.
Why do you think they'll leave? I thought someone was going to pull a fire alarm after the vote.
Right before.
Sequentially. Right before. Yeah, that's true.
Well done, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know.